In the second year of my disability, my boyfriend Chad broke off our engagement. The doctor said it would be very difficult for you to ever walk again. I can't marry a disabled woman as my wife, even if it means letting you down. I nodded. I had my family withdraw all the resources they had provided him. Grandpa was afraid I'd be distraught, so he arranged another engagement for me. Later, everyone knew that the active duty commander was madly in love with his wife, who used a wheelchair. With his unwavering devotion, a medical miracle occurred. During the Christmas holidays, when I returned home from the military base, Chad showed up at my door, his eyes red. Olivia, I regret it. I shouldn't have left you when you needed me most. Will you give me another chance? I linked my arm through Ethan's and kicked Chad out. Get lost. Olivia, let's call off the engagement. I've waited for you for a year, but there's no sign of your leg recovering. The doctor said it would be very difficult for you to ever walk again. Even though I love you, I can't marry a disabled woman as my wife. Could you just consider me as having let you down? Chad knelt in front of my wheelchair, holding my hand. He spoke gently, trying to reason with me. I looked down at him, my face expressionless, but my fingertips were growing colder by the inch. Just last night, he had sent a text message saying, Olivia is the strongest, keep up with your rehabilitation training, you'll definitely walk again, I'll always be by your side. This morning, he came to tell me he was breaking off the engagement. My heart was a mix of emotions. I pulled my hand away and gave a faint smile. All right, let's break off the engagement then. He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, a sparkle in his eyes. His tone became a bit more cheerful. Olivia, don't worry, even if we're not engaged, your importance in my heart is unmatched. I'll still be by your side, comfort you, and take care of you, just like before. I just smiled, saying nothing. Right after the accident, Chad did stay with me at the hospital every day. But once my legs were definitively diagnosed as unable to walk, his visits became less and less frequent, including today. It had been 1 month and 5 days since I last saw him, but every day, he would chat with me on WhatsApp, asking how I was doing. Olivia, I have business at the company, so I'll be going now. Chad stood up and gently patted my head. If you ever need help, you can call me anytime. We've known each other for 10 years, I've long considered you family. Family, huh? I curled my lips in a sarcastic smile. After left, I called Robert and told him about breaking off the engagement, and asked him to withdraw all the resources provided to Chad. Since the engagement was off, I wanted to cut ties completely. Soon, Brenda rushed home. She was furious. If hadn't insisted you go looking for him in the heavy rain, would you have been in that accident and injured your legs like this? And now he has the nerve to come here and break off the engagement? He doesn't deserve it. I smiled and tried to calm Brenda. Let him break it off. He has his concerns. Concerns my foot. Brenda looked at me with pity. My dear, he's breaking it off because he thinks your leg won't get better, is afraid of being embarrassed by marrying you, and fears you can't have children to carry on the family name. When you first had the accident, what did he tell Robert and me? That he'd marry no one but you for life. That he'd accept you no matter what. If he hadn't seemed so sincere, would Robert and I have wholeheartedly helped him all these years? Would have the status and position he has today? That ungrateful scoundrel, Olivia's family home won't let him get away with this. Brenda stepped forward and hugged me, gently patting my back. If you're sad, just cry it out. Who hasn't loved a few jerks or gone through a few heartbreaks when they were young? You've even overcome life and death. This little thing is nothing. I was indeed a little sad, but I didn't feel like crying. Perhaps sitting in a wheelchair for a year had numbed me. When stopped coming to see me much, I already anticipated this day might come. I just didn't expect it to come so soon. Mom, I won't cry. I'm fine, please don't be angry. Brenda wiped her own tears and released me. Olivia, on the way back, Grandpa called me. He said to reconsider the family-arranged engagement he mentioned to you before. Ethan is his comrade's grandson, an active duty officer, 2 years older than you. I've seen photos of the boy, he's better looking than Chad. As long as he's better looking, that's fine. That evening, Ethan sent me a WhatsApp contact request. Hello, Olivia, I'm Ethan. Grandpa told me you've agreed to our marriage. Would it be convenient to meet at the county's office tomorrow morning at 9 to get married? Alternatively, I can pick you up from your house. I hadn't expected him to be so straightforward. And getting married tomorrow, wouldn't that be a bit too fast? But then I thought, military officers might be busy. If he's not hesitating, why should I drag my feet? So I replied, convenient, I'll go by myself. The next morning at 9, I arrived at the county's office on time. As soon as I walked in, my eyes were drawn to a stern figure in a military uniform. He had a buzz cut, stood ramrod straight, and had sharp, chiseled features. Standing in the hall, he was particularly striking. He was indeed better looking than Chad. As I looked at him, he happened to look at me too, then strode towards me with long steps. "Olivia, right?" I nodded. A smile touched his lips, and he extended his hand to me. "Hello, I'm Ethan." My hand gently met his. His palm was large and rough, clearly showing he'd undergone a lot of training. Our connected hands parted after just 2 seconds, a silent understanding passing between us. He asked, "Did you bring your ID?" Then he took out his own from his jacket pocket. Sitting in my wheelchair, I looked up at him. "Ethan, how much do you know about my situation?" "The doctor said it's very difficult for me to walk again." "You still have time to change your mind." He smiled. "Since I'm here, I won't change my mind." Then he walked behind me and firmly pushed my wheelchair to the service counter. The process of getting married at the county's office went smoothly. When we had our 2 marriage certificates in hand, he extended his hand to me once more. "Olivia, please guide me in the years to come." His serious demeanor made me chuckle. The rest of our lives seemed too long. I didn't know how long he could endure if I never walked again. But I still extended my hand and shook his. This time, his grip lingered longer, even with a slight firmness. Seeing my surprised look at him, he released my hand then, clearing his throat as if to cover something up. Then he pushed my wheelchair outside. "Our families are already meeting at the restaurant. Let's head straight over." I came back in a hurry, so I didn't prepare any gifts. "Olivia, take these first." He lifted me into the passenger seat and fastened my seatbelt. He placed my wheelchair in the back of the car. Then he handed me a file folder. "Here are all the assets under my name, they're all yours from now on." The file folder was thick and bulging. Grandpa had told me that Ethan's family was even wealthier than mine. If these were all the assets under his name, all mine? Ethan smiled and nodded. "You are my lawful wife. You have the right to manage and control all my assets." As if afraid I'd disagree, he added, "No refusing." The black military vehicle drove at a moderate speed. The view was exceptionally good. I occasionally glanced at him. He drove with serious concentration, very mindful of my comfort. Unlike, who sometimes drove too fast, or slammed on the brakes, scaring me half to death. In fact, I had been afraid of riding in cars ever since the accident. Ethan went to park, asking me to wait for him at the restaurant entrance for a moment. As I was looking down, replying to Brenda's message, I heard someone call my name. "Olivia?" I looked up to see Tiffany walking out, smiling, arm in arm with Chad. She lightly snorted at Chad. "See? I told you it was Olivia, but you wouldn't believe me." Seeing my gaze linger on their linked arms, Chad awkwardly tried to pull his arm away. Tiffany, however, held on tighter. "Oh, what are you afraid of? You broke off the engagement with Olivia. She personally agreed to it. She won't mind. Besides, today is our engagement party. You weren't planning on hiding it from Olivia, were you?" Chad's eyes darted away when he looked at me. He stammered, my mom made the arrangements. You know, Tiffany and I grew up together, and my mom always regarded her as a daughter-in-law." "Are you here because you knew I was getting engaged?" Tiffany suddenly gasped nervously. "Oh, Olivia, you're not regretting it, are you? You can't do that. My parents and Chad's parents are arriving any moment." Chad also suddenly grew nervous. The two of them looked at me as if facing a formidable enemy. I found it amusing, so I just watched them without speaking. Chad became a little anxious. "Olivia, can you please not make a scene right now? It's too late for regrets now. Our engagement has already been cancelled. How about you go home first? I'll come see you later, okay?" The wealthy families in Riverside City all knew about Chad and me. He was already marrying up by being with me, and because of him, I became disabled. If I made a scene, he would definitely be scorned to death. He always cared about his reputation and public image. He couldn't accept something like that happening. Tiffany also grew anxious. "Olivia, look at you, disabled like this. How could you possibly be worthy of Chad? Don't embarrass yourself here. If you know what's good for why. Oh, you, get lost." Chad pulled her. "Tiffany." Tiffany glared at him. "Am I wrong? What does she mean by coming here today? Isn't she just trying to snatch you away from me? Chad, cut ties with her right now, and tell her to stop bothering you." Chad looked at me again. "Olivia, you should just go home. Unless your legs get better, there's truly no future for us." I couldn't help but let out a laugh. "Are you two performing a comedy act together? What gives you two the confidence to assume I'm here for you?" Tiffany snorted. "Don't pretend." "Then what are you doing here?" "I brought her here." Just then, Ethan's deep voice suddenly sounded from behind me. He placed his hands on the handles of my wheelchair, his sharp, cold gaze sweeping over the two. Were you two just bullying my wife? Wife. Chad and Tiffany both widened their eyes. Chad spoke first, his tone somewhat angry. Olivia, you knew I was getting engaged today, so you deliberately hired an actor to provoke me? Can military uniforms just be worn by anyone? There's a limit to your capriciousness. Tiffany abruptly pulled him, gritting her teeth and whispering, "Shut up." That's Ethan, the eldest son of the Liu family, an active duty commander in the Special Forces. Chad froze, a look of disbelief on his face. Tiffany quickly offered a forced smile. "Commander, you've misunderstood. We were just joking with Olivia, we're old friends." I heard correctly, didn't I? You just said, "Olivia is your wife?" Ethan completely ignored her, leaning down to ask me, "Do you know them?" His warm, cool breath was at my ear. I softly hummed, "My ex-fiancé, who just broke off our engagement yesterday, and his new fiancé, who he's getting engaged to today." Ethan's dark eyes turned to Chad. He said coolly, "This is the last time. Keep your new girlfriend in line, and stop bothering my wife. Otherwise, I won't let you get away with it." In the private room, Ethan's and my marriage certificate had already been passed round. Eleanor even exaggeratedly wiped away tears from her eyes. That brat finally found someone. If hadn't been willing to marry you, you'd probably be a bachelor for life. Ethan smiled at me. "Thank you for being willing to marry me." Amidst the playful shouts, my ears flushed red. I lowered my head, a little embarrassed, and picked at my fingers. Just then, Ethan took my hand. His hand was warm, conveying a sense of security to me. Getting married at the county's office was rushed, and many things weren't settled. Like the marital home, or the family wedding contribution. Eleanor said, since has married into our Liu family, she should live in our Liu family home. What kind of sense does it make for her to stay at her maiden home? Brenda was equally unyielding. Olivia is used to living at home, and Ethan is rarely home anyway. I wouldn't feel comfortable with her suddenly moving. Eleanor argued forcefully, "What are you worried about? Would I mistreat Olivia? How about this, let Olivia move in, and we'll double the family wedding contribution." Brenda disagreed. "Olivia must live at home, and I'll double her dowry. Triple the family wedding contribution. Triple the dowry." Everyone laughed, watching the two of them argue, vying for the right to house and care for me. Finally, Ethan spoke with resignation, "Moms, please stop arguing. Olivia won't be living at either place. I've already decided, I'm taking her back with me this time." Ethan looked at me. "Are you willing to come with me?" The private room instantly fell silent. Brenda's expression changed instantly. She was about to stand up and object, but Grandpa reprimanded her, "Sit down." Then Henry looked at me with a smile. "Olivia, you decide for yourself." In that moment, I was a bit stunned. I hadn't expected Ethan to think of taking me back to the military base with him. That was a completely unfamiliar place to me. And with my disabled legs, what if I caused him trouble there? Ethan seemed to sense my hesitation and concerns. He said softly, "There's the best army center there, and I'll invite specialists to consult on your case. You won't have to worry about anything regarding daily life. The military dependents in the compound are all kind-hearted people. Since I'm taking you with me, I will absolutely not let you suffer any injustice. Do you trust me?" His gaze was sincere and steadfast. I thought, since I had already married him, I might as well try to trust him. Seeing me nod, he immediately smiled, his eyes sparkling with starlight. Back at Olivia's family home, Brenda packed my things, tears streaming down her face. "You've never left my side since you were a child. When you get there, make sure to take good care of yourself, okay? If that Ethan boy dares to treat you badly, you call me, and I'll come pick you up right away." Before the car drove off, Brenda fiercely told Ethan, "I'm entrusting my daughter to you. Treat her well. If you dare to bully her, I will never forgive you." Finally, Brenda's tone softened. "If she's thoughtless and makes you angry, don't be harsh with her. Just bring her back to me safe and sound, and I'll scold her, all right?" My eyes were red. I felt like crying a little. Ethan earnestly assured Brenda, "Don't worry, I will definitely treat her well." As the car pulled away from Olivia's family home, I thought I saw Chad's hurried figure in the rearview mirror, but it was only for a moment before I pulled my gaze away. Ethan took me by train, as he was worried I'd be too tired from a car ride. The train had a private cabin, fully equipped with everything needed, though the journey was a bit slower. I could adapt to the food and accommodation. Only using the restroom was the most awkward time. Without the caregiver's assistance, only Ethan was by my side. The first time, my face turned red from holding it in. When he asked what was wrong, I wouldn't say, and he grew anxious, about to go find a doctor. I grabbed his hand, my ears so red they felt like they could bleed. I didn't dare look into his eyes, my voice barely a whisper. I need to use the restroom. He paused for a moment, then carried me to the bathroom. Later, as he waited outside the door, I cried for a long time inside. Olivia, I'm sorry. I wasn't thoughtful enough. He wiped away my tears, holding me in his arms and comforting me, blaming himself. In truth, I was just crying for myself. Seeing that I had stopped crying, he went out. When he returned, he had a package of adult diapers in his hand. This was the only kind on the train. Let's make do with these for now. You don't need to hold it, and don't feel ashamed. I'm your husband, taking care of you is my duty. When we arrived at the military compound, Ethan handed his ID and my documents to the guard. After inspecting them, the guard saluted him. Hello, Commander. Then he grinned, showing white teeth, and said to me, Welcome, military wife of Ethan. Ethan pushed my wheelchair inside, introducing me to the compound. Soon, several military wives heard the commotion and rushed over. Our Ethan brought his wife home. This girl is really pretty, she's a perfect match for our commander. The military wives in the compound were exceptionally warm, without any prejudice towards me. Sarah took the luggage bag from Ethan. Emily directly put a bottle of homemade chili sauce into my arms. The conditions here aren't as good as in the city, but it's peaceful. Don't hesitate to ask if you need anything, sister. Ethan's dormitory was a 2-story small house, with 2 cherry blossom trees planted in front of the door. He bent down and lifted me, his movements as gentle as if handling something fragile. From now on, this is our home. The interior was spotless. His medals were displayed on the living room wall. Most striking was a stack of professional medical books on the coffee table, Spinal Injury Guide, latest in nerve. These are prepared in advance. His ear tips were slightly red. I wanted to understand more. In that moment, my heart felt as if it were bathed in warm water. It turned out that, without my knowing, someone had done so much research for my injury. The next morning, Ethan pushed me to the Army Center for a comprehensive checkup. In the corridor, we ran into a doctor in a white coat. Seeing us, he suddenly stopped. Ethan? And this is my wife, Olivia. The hand resting on my shoulder tightened slightly. Olivia, this is David, an old comrade of mine, now the head of the physical department. Dr. David's gaze lingered on my legs for a moment, then his eyes suddenly widened. Wait, are you Olivia, the one who won an award at the international competition? I was startled. I hadn't touched design drafts since the accident. I hadn't expected anyone to remember me. David excitedly pulled out his phone gallery. Your Celadon series at Milan Week 2 years ago was absolutely stunning. Our hospital's orthopedics, Dr. Zhang, even collected a brooch you designed. My wheelchair was suddenly turned in another direction. Ethan subtly stepped in front of me. First, let's get the checkup done. At the entrance to the MRI room, he knelt down to help me tie the belt of my hospital gown. The metal buckle made a soft click at his fingertips. I really didn't expect our hospital to have so many fans of yours. He looked up at me with a smile, his eyelashes casting fine shadows in the light. I instinctively gripped the armrest of my wheelchair. Those are all things of the past. Just like these legs, they were sealed away in memory. The examination lasted until noon. During the final electromyography test, David came in with the report. I have some good news. Image, there's still a faint nerve response here. With a new electrostimulation therapy, there's about a 30% chance of walking again. I clutched the hem of my clothes tightly. For a year, every doctor had said hope was slim. This was the first time I'd heard an exact number. Ethan's hand suddenly covered mine. His palm had calluses from years of holding a gun, yet its warmth was astonishing. Want to try? Treatment began that very afternoon. The electrotherapy was more painful than expected. I bit my lips when the current pierced my skin. Ethan offered his arm to my mouth. Don't hurt yourself. When it ended, I was covered in cold sweat and vaguely saw blood seeping from the sleeve of his camouflage uniform. I'm sorry. I tried to wipe it, but he gently held my wrist. Olivia, you never have to say those 3 words to me. That evening, he applied to his superiors for all the leave he could take. He would bring me to the hospital for treatment every day, accompanying me throughout. Then he'd take me home and personally take care of me. By the 3rd week of treatment, I was hunched over the sink, vomiting uncontrollably. The side effects of the electrotherapy began to show: nausea, dizziness, and complete loss of appetite. The person in the mirror had a pale face, with dark circles under her eyes. Ethan tenderly wiped the corners of my lips. Let's rest for 2 days first. I shook my head and couldn't help but cry in his arms for a while. Then, as if comforting myself, I said, just a little longer. A 30% chance is worth fighting for with all my might. 2 months later, my leg felt a tingling sensation for the first time under the electric current. It hurts. I suddenly grabbed Ethan's sleeve. Ethan excitedly called David. You have feeling? David exclaimed in surprise, adjusting the equipment. Let's try again. This time the current was stronger, and I arched my back in pain, yet tears of joy streamed down my face. I really have feeling. Ethan knelt by the treatment bed, his hands trembling more than mine. After rehabilitation training began, Ethan personally installed parallel bars in the yard. When I first tried to stand, I trembled like a leaf in the wind. Don't look at the ground. He gently held my waist with both hands. Look at me. In my sweat-blurred vision, his deep-set eyes and brows were my only focus. When he wasn't home, the military wives in the compound took turns accompanying me all day, cheering me on. Olivia, just a little longer, you're doing great. You've made more progress today than yesterday. Keep going, you can do it. When I could shakily stand for 10 seconds at the hospital, all the medical staff in the physical department came running to applaud, but turned and left the hospital room. When I found him around the corner of the corridor, this strong military man had his face buried in his hands, his shoulders subtly trembling. Hey, I said, wheeling my wheelchair closer to tease him, is Ethan crying? With red-rimmed eyes, he pulled me into his embrace. His heartbeat was deafening. 6 months after I came to the military compound, Chad and Tiffany held their wedding. That night, however, I received a text message from Chad. Olivia, if your legs hadn't been injured, you would be the one I married today. Our 10 years of affection succumbed to reality. How could someone of Ethan's status truly care for you? He's just after Olivia's family home's resources. Olivia, I truly miss you. When are you coming back? Can we meet, just once? I immediately screenshotted the first and fourth sentences of the conversation and sent them to Tiffany. Keep your man in check. Tiffany called, screaming hysterically, Olivia, what are you so smug about? Do you think he genuinely misses you? It's just because Brenda cut off his resources, and he's having a hard time. So what if he still has a place for you in his heart? He still married me. Chad's drunken voice faintly echoed through the phone receiver. Olivia? Where's Olivia? Tell her I miss her. Tiffany, furious, slapped him across the face. Open your damn eyes and see who I am. I'm your wife. Tonight is our wedding night. Beep, beep, beep. It was the sound of the phone hanging up. Ethan was leaning against the doorway. I didn't know when he'd arrived. I immediately, feeling guilty, offered him my phone with both hands. He sent me these messages. I didn't contact him. Ethan chuckled. Why are you so nervous? I just didn't want you to misunderstand. I put my phone aside and shakily stood up, walking towards him. After 3 months of rehabilitation training, I could now walk a short distance by holding onto a wall. Ethan stood still, simply opening his arms and waiting for me. I stumbled into his embrace, looking up at him. Commander, are you jealous? He squeezed my cheek. Yes, I'm jealous. What should we do then? I'll punish you with a kiss. I cupped his face and lightly touched his lips. His eyes darkened, and he cupped the back of my head, deepening the kiss. Then he still snorted. I told you, if Chad dares to bother you again, I won't let him get away with it. Soon, the Christmas holidays were approaching. Ethan's commanding officer, considering it his first year of marriage, specially granted him 7 days of leave. When we arrived home, Brenda saw me walking independently on both legs. She immediately burst into tears. Child, why didn't you tell me sooner? I chuckled. I wanted to give you all a surprise. Robert patted Ethan on the shoulder, giving him a moved thumbs up. Ethan said, Olivia's legs are still in recovery. The doctor said in another 6 months, she'll be able to walk like anyone else. Brenda quickly urged me to sit on the couch. Stop standing. Don't strain your legs. I laughed. I'm not that delicate. Standing for a bit is fine. Brenda looked at Ethan. Only when Ethan nodded did she relax. A cheerful smile spread across her face, and she held my hand, looking me over from left to right. Then she leaned into my ear and whispered, Grandpa's taste isn't bad, huh? Grandpa, who happened to be nearby, snorted twice. It's not like you're home every day subtly criticizing me anymore. Brenda gave a guilty smile. Your daughter-in-law wouldn't dare. After finishing dinner at my family's home, I dragged Ethan to the shopping mall again. I had never been to Ethan's family home before and wanted to buy some gifts for his family. Ethan was afraid my legs would hurt if I walked too much, so he had me sit in my wheelchair and pushed me. We passed an accessories store. I asked him to bend down, then picked up a cat-themed hair clip from nearby and put it on him. Wow, how adorable. Ethan stood up and looked in the mirror, a helpless smile on his face. Does it look good? I quickly nodded, then picked up a wolf-themed hair clip and handed it to him. Try this one too. Ethan obediently put it on, then deliberately gave me a fierce look. As we burst out laughing, the mirror suddenly reflected a frozen figure at the doorway. Then, I heard Tiffany's voice approaching. Honey, what are you staring at? I turned my head, and our eyes met. Tiffany's face instantly changed. She immediately linked arms with Chad. Before either of them could speak, I withdrew my gaze and smiled at Ethan. Let's buy both of these. We can switch them up at home. As Peyton pushed me out, Chad suddenly called out to me, Olivia. His voice was trembling slightly, his gaze complex. Tiffany dug her fingertips into the flesh of his inner arm, offering a strained smile. Olivia, Commander, long time no see. Ethan cast a cold glance at the two of them and simply pushed me away. Behind us, Tiffany argued with Chad. What exactly do you mean? Chad's voice was impatient. What do I mean? What's it to you? I came out shopping with you like you wanted. What more do you want? Tiffany was shaking with anger. You call this shopping with me? Aside from walking, what's the difference between you and a dead man? Chad turned and walked away. I can't be bothered with you. Tiffany grabbed him. You're not allowed to leave. Explain yourself to me. Let go of me. Many people looked in air direction. A 3-year-old child nearly fell. I instinctively stood up and grabbed him. Be careful. The child cried loudly in fright. As the parents thanked me, Chad suddenly pushed Tiffany aside and hurried towards me, only to be stopped by a stern-faced Ethan. He looked at me in disbelief. Olivia, your legs. Are they better? I sat back in my wheelchair, taking Ethan's hand. Honey, let's go. Behind us, Tiffany's even more frantic shouts at Chad could be heard. Until slapped her. Only then did the ridiculous scene finally stop. After leaving the shopping mall, I followed Ethan back to Ethan's family home. In the more than 6 months since we married, Eleanor had called and video chatted with me almost every day. Sometimes, seeing me in pain, she would scold Ethan. Olivia isn't one of your soldiers. Can't you be less harsh with her? So what if she can't walk for the rest of her life? Can't our Lou family afford to support a daughter-in-law? Sometimes when I cried, she would cry with me. Sweetie, let's not train anymore. Let's not endure this hardship. When she saw I could actually stand, she wept with joy. Darling, you're truly amazing. She often transferred money into my bank account. Sometimes a few million, sometimes tens of millions. I heard spending money can stop pain. Spend more. Our family doesn't have much else, but we have plenty of money. The more you spend, the more your husband will earn. So when I saw her at Ethan's family home, I felt no sense of unfamiliarity. Finally, Ethan firmly sent her back to her room. My wife is tired after a long day. She needs to rest. We can talk more tomorrow. My phone was full of Chad's calls and text messages. Olivia, I saw you standing. I knew you could do it. Can we meet, just once? Tiffany is a lunatic. I regret it. I truly regret it. This man is so annoying. I directly replied with get lost. And blocked his number. But the next day, he showed up at Ethan's family home. Olivia, can we talk? Ethan is just taking advantage of the situation. If we hadn't broken off our engagement, he would never have had the chance to marry you. Our 10 years of affection, can you truly let that go? I pressed down on Ethan's hand, stopping him from standing up, and looked at Chad indifferently. The spirited young man he once was now looked utterly miserable. Chad, go home. We're over. He dropped to his knees, sobbing. Olivia, I truly know I made a mistake. I shouldn't have left you when you needed me most. Please give me one chance, just one, okay? I shook my head. Chad, some mistakes only need to happen once. I'm doing very well now. You should also look forward. Ethan snorted coldly at Chad. He simply had someone throw him out. On Eve, Ethan accompanied me in the yard, setting off fireworks. I held the sparklers, their light reflecting on his chiseled face. He suddenly wrapped his arms around me from behind. Wife, I'll take you somewhere after spring arrives. Where? To the border outpost where I was stationed. He rubbed his chin against the top of my head. I want to show you the land I've protected. I turned and wrapped my arms around his neck. Okay, I hear the starry sky there is incredibly beautiful. Just as I was speaking, my phone suddenly vibrated wildly. News exploded in the family group chat. Chad's group was facing a funding crisis and was selling shares at a low price. Brenda sent a confetti emoji. Serves him right. I was about to lock my screen when Chad called from a different phone number. Olivia. His voice was incredibly hoarse. Can you lend me $30 million to help with the cash flow? For the sake of our 10 years together. Ethan snatched the phone. Mr. Chad, if you continue like this, you'll be harassing a military dependent, which is a criminal offense. From the other end of the phone, the sound of shattered glass could be heard. Tiffany's sharp curses pierced through the phone receiver. You're going after that disabled woman again? Just because she can walk now, you're obsessed with her, aren't you? I sighed. Ugh, looks like I'll have to get a new phone number. On the first day back from the Christmas holidays, an unwelcome visitor arrived at the Army Center. Tiffany burst into the physical therapy room, her pregnant belly prominent. Olivia, are you really not satisfied until you've ruined us completely? She slammed down a medical report. I'm pregnant. If goes to jail, the child will be born without a father. It turned out Ethan had reported Chad for embezzlement of public funds, with irrefutable evidence. I pushed the medical report away. He should have thought about this day when he was stealing resources from Olivia's family. You should go cry to the judge. Suddenly, Tiffany grabbed the scissors and pressed them against her stomach. Sign the letter of understanding right now. Otherwise, I'll make sure this child dies with Chad. An alarm blared down the corridor. When burst in with the guards, I had Tiffany's wrist twisted behind her. The scissors clattered to the floor. I forgot to tell you, I pried her fingers open. I've been learning self-defense techniques from Commander lately. As the grasslands turned green in March, Ethan took me to a border outpost. The SUV wound along the cliffside road when he suddenly covered my eyes. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. When I opened them again, the entire landscape of snow-capped mountains and meadows burst into view. Colorful banners fluttered beneath the blue sky, and in the distance, a red flag was fluttering over the outpost. This place. I gasped. Is this where your phone wallpaper is from? He smiled and helped me zip up my windbreaker. It's where I first saw you. It turned out that 2 years ago, during International Week, he had seen me as a security officer. You were on stage receiving an award, and I was in the audience thinking. Thinking what? He smiled and glanced at me. Thinking I could marry that designer. Later, when I found out you had a boyfriend you were deeply in love with and were already engaged, I was heartbroken for a long time. Then, I saw the news of your car accident. I secretly visited you at the hospital a few times, and I also overheard Chad making phone calls about how to get rid of you. So I called Grandpa 37 times, saying I wanted to marry you. It wasn't until the last call that Grandpa finally agreed to talk to you for me. I stared at Ethan, stunned. No wonder Grandpa suddenly introduced me to the grandson of his comrade in arms. At the time, I just thought Grandpa simply disliked Chad. Actually, there's something else I was afraid to tell you because I didn't want to upset you. After you got sick, the person who chatted with you every day wasn't Chad at all. It was someone he paid. I gave a knowing smile, feeling a sense of relief. I had already guessed. On WhatsApp, he would chat with me extensively. But every time we met, he would leave quickly, and he often didn't remember what we'd talked about. Ethan pulled me into his arms, looking at the breathtaking scenery before us. Everything is in the past now. Fortunately, you gave me the chance to take care of you. And I'm glad I didn't miss out on you. After returning to the military compound, I resumed my design work. Ethan set up a sun-filled studio for me. Every day when he came home, he would wash his hands before daring to touch my design drafts. The metal display case I designed was chosen as a military district designated item. At the awards ceremony, I walked steadily onto the stage in my elegant gown. Amidst thunderous applause from the audience, I saw a cat-themed brooch I had given Ethan pinned to the chest of his crisp military uniform. After the ceremony, David mysteriously handed me an envelope. Ethan asked me to give this to you. Inside was a copy of the transfer order. He had voluntarily applied for a transfer to a non-combat department. The approval comments section read, approved. Family needs are equally important. When I rushed out, Ethan was waiting for me by the training field. The sunset gilded his profile, and he smiled, opening his arms. Slow down. I learned what happened next with Chad from the news. After his company ran into trouble, he faced criminal charges. When his lawyer had him released on bail, he tried to drive away and escape that very night. The rain was too heavy that day, and he was driving too fast. His tires skidded, and he crashed into a guardrail, dying instantly. Tiffany's legal repercussions were delayed due to her pregnancy. However, she was unexpectedly diagnosed with a mental illness. Her father immediately brought his mistress and his daughter from an affair into their home and sent Tiffany to a mental hospital. After that, her fate remained unclear. And my story was just beginning. Every morning, he would massage my leg muscles. And every night, I always remembered to leave the hallway light on for him. Just as he always said, "Olivia, we have all the time in the world." Indeed, with a lifetime ahead of us, we have enough time to turn a 30% chance of a miracle into 100% happiness. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.